Welcome back to my project, the E30 Touring S54 swap. It's been a while since I posted anything, and that's because I've been kind of dealing with the fact that this car had a shitty fuel tank that had no that was so bad, so far gone that there's no saving it. I've been looking for a new one, and the car's been sitting up on jack stands like this for weeks now. And so what I decided to do is, while I'm looking for a new fuel tank, to actually start working on the suspension. And that's actually going to give me a good overview of what the chassis is like. So I've already checked for rust and stuff like that. There's some minor rust, not a big deal, fixable. So what I've decided to do is do the suspension swap, the 5-lug swap with the Z3M suspension and brakes. And then, hopefully get the car driving with the old engine with the new fuel tank. And then I'll be able to do stuff like an alignment, to check the way the car drives, to make sure that everything is fine with the chassis itself. And then finally do the engine swap. Here's the engine. It's been sitting here for a long time, and patiently waiting to go in. But yeah, until then, I'm gonna work on the other stuff, which is also equally critical, like suspension and brakes. So I'm gonna start working on that and see how it goes. Well, that's not too bad. The tie rod came out. Tie rod end came out from the spindle here with a little bit of beating on top with a hammer. so far so good. Now I need to disconnect the lollipop bushings here from the body of the car, because these will be getting replaced together with the control arm. So the control arm also has a bolt here that goes into the subframe, and it looks like I can unbolt it from the top right there. That's the bolt. And then of course 3 top nuts, and then the whole assembly should just fall down. Obviously I need to disconnect the brakes and all the wires before that. So I guess it's just 1 wire for the ABS sensor and probably 2 wires on the other side, because there's a brake pad thickness sensor. So, and there's a sway bar also, sway bar connection here to the control arm. I will be replacing the sway bar with an M3, E30 M3 sway bar. So I might as well remove this one now. So my task now is to undo the rest of the bolts and just drop the whole suspension here. Let's see how easy or difficult that is. There's a humongous bolt that's holding the control arm onto the subframe, and hopefully it's not tapered. So when I undo it, it'll come off. Maybe, we'll find out. I think that wasn't very tight at all. Yep, came off easily. And since I won't be using that control arm, I could just try to separate it from here, even if I damage the joint there. It's not going to be a big deal. But let me try to remove it in a civilized way. Let's see if this works. Like this, maybe? And I can't hit it with a hammer from the top, because there's no room to get a hammer in there, because the engine's in the way. Let's see. Well, let me move on to the other parts and then I'll come back to this. I need to disconnect the brakes anyway. There we go. Flare wrenches and a 10 at the top. So, hopefully, okay, good. I was gonna say hopefully I won't break anything, because if this whole thing is so rusted that it breaks, then I'm kind of screwed. I have to replace the whole brake line. Oh, and why didn't I bring my chair? I have a chair. I have a mechanic's chair. There we go. Makes things so much more comfortable. Well, I'm gonna try with the hammer again. Is there a smarter way to do this? Can't think of one. There's no room to attach like a bearing puller kind of tool at the top. Oh, it worked. Yeah. Good. Yes, it's off. Awesome. I know the lollipop thing here has an indentation that holds it in place. So even with the bolts removed, it's still staying in place, but yeah, there. Is everything detached here? Looks like it is. The only thing holding the whole assembly is the 3 bolts, or 3 nuts at the top. And support this guy with a jack. Zip off the nuts from the top, using the best tool ever made. And we should be golden. Okay. Okay, well, I guess the jack is properly supporting it now. Lower the jack, and it's coming off. Wait, what's holding it? Something's holding it. Oh, it's just the threads. Okay. So, take a bit of wiggling. It is out. All right, whoa, this thing is heavy. Okay. Whew. And of course, the other side looked like it was gonna work much easier than the first side, because I already knew what to do and where to do it. And I already got that bolt out, that ball joint out very easily by hammering in the same angle that I did on the other side. This stuff is out. What else? Yeah, I mean, those bolts are out for sure. Those were easy anyway. And the last thing I needed to do was to just remove the brake line. And of course, that got screwed. because my flare wrench, I guess, is not grabbing it very well, and it started stripping a little bit, stripping the nut. And that is a big deal, because if this nut strips, first off, I'm not going to be able to undo it now, and secondly, I have to replace this entire metal pipe. Luckily, this is the shortest one in the entire car. It goes here somewhere and then into the ABS. Still, it's it's not going to be fun to replace, especially with the engine and everything here in place. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try to do it with a special tool, which I need to find first. Maybe it's here. Ah, there it is. Here's my special tool, just for cases like this. It grabs onto the nut from at least 2 sides, maybe 3 sides, and it just squeezes it. So hopefully it's not gonna strip it any further than it already is. I can't film while I'm doing this, so I'm gonna just have to show you guys the result. Well, I don't have a good grip here, so what I'm gonna do is undo the brake line from here and then take off the entire assembly, and then I'll have more room to work with just to remove that line over there. Okay guys, I am finally ready to start the front suspension 5-lug swap on an E30 future S54 swap. The idea is to use the whole suspension from a Z3M and brakes also from a Z3M, and those parts are ridiculously hard to come by. So it's been a while. I've been gathering parts for like 2 years now, mostly passively gathering parts and actively buying random little things and nuts and bolts over the last month or two, just to complete everything, to make sure that everything is new, and to make sure I can assemble everything and install it in the car. The rear suspension is coming up next, but that's also going to be OEM Z3M parts, including the trailing arms, which are like unicorns. They're just impossible to find. But anyway, what we're working on now is the front suspension and brakes. What I've got is Z3M brakes, recycled, remanufactured brake calipers, brand new discs, brand new brake pads, remanufactured control arms with brand new bushings and joints, brand new Z3M shocks with used Z3M Coupe springs. These springs are from an M Coupe and not a M Roadster because they're a little bit lower and a little bit stiffer. I have no idea whether that's going to work well on an E30. Nobody has tried it, at least in terms of what I could find, so we'll find out. Brand new strut mounts, E30 strut mounts. That's what everybody says. Use E30 strut mounts, not Z3M strut mounts, but these are in any case brand new. They are centered and not offset like the Z3M, so that should set the keep the geometry of the car as it should be. And then I got all the little things that cost a fortune. It's like dust boot, bump stop. These are all brand new OEM from BMW. And a whole bunch of bolts, nuts, brackets, sway bar brackets brand new, sway bar bushings brand new, and just random bolts, like random nuts, washers, spacers, stupid little things that just add up. And if I got some good deals on the rest of the parts, I got screwed on those. I paid easily over $100, $100 or euros on just bolts. It's effectively just simple bolts, but I had to get them from BMW. Anyway, let's start the assembly. I hope I didn't miss anything. I guess we'll find out when I get to it and I don't have enough parts. Why do they always have to put the stupid labels on places where it can't be peeled off and where it's actually in the way? What am I gonna do now? I gotta clean it with some sort of, I don't know,
cleaner. Why? Just put it on the side or use something that doesn't stay like this. I found out I'm missing a spacer, a little circular thin spacer. There's a tapered spacer here that goes on top of the strut below the spring pad, the spring seat thingy, cup, whatever it's called. And obviously it's only available from BMW and not in stock. So I have to start with the rest of the stuff. What I'm gonna do now is start with the control arms and brakes and the hub. Attach the strut later. It attaches here and here to the lower, to the hub. And then obviously at the top through the strut mount attaches to the chassis. So yeah, it'll have to be done little by little. I had this weekend assigned to work on this car, but looks like it's not gonna happen unless I can get this part ordered urgently somehow. Ah, man, annoying. But okay, let's start mounting the control arm and hub and brakes. At least it's gonna be some start. Okay, we're gonna start with the control arm and then attach the hub and brake assembly with the spindle. Actually, it's already, the stuff's already been assembled here. So yeah, we're gonna attach that. We're gonna reuse the old steering rack and tie rods because that's temporary. I'm gonna be replacing them with a Z3 steering rack and obviously brand new tie rods. But until then, because I don't have the steering rack figured out yet, I'm gonna be reusing these. They're relatively easy to replace, so I'm gonna put it together now just to get the car on the road and replace these later when I have the engine out, because it's gonna be a lot easier to replace the steering rack with the engine out. Hopefully everything will be clear now and I can just slide this in. Slide it in here, attach the lollipop bracket. There's an indentation in the subframe that it goes into. Yeah, it drops, but that's possibly good enough for me to put the nut on the top. Okay, the thread is in, but the shaft of the ball joint is spinning. So I'll have to have something pressing on it from the bottom so I can then tighten the nut on the top. It's tapered, so when something is pressing on it from the bottom, it's gonna hold it in place and the shaft is not gonna spin. This is what it looks like from the top. I got my socket there, and the exhaust manifold is in the way. Okay, there we go. I've got the extension in with my ratchet, and I should be able to screw that in now. So this bolt is supposed to be 83 Newton meters of torque. So we got the torque wrench set to that amount, and I'm gonna tighten it. Okay, it clicked, so let's confirm. Yep. We're good to go here. 44 Newton meters on a 17 mil bolt. Let's do this. Okay. The other one. Okay. So the control arm is in place. Now we need to put the whole hub assembly with the spindle, with the brakes, with the ABS sensor already mounted on it. By the way, this is an E36 ABS sensor that I'm going to have to splice in with the E30 ABS system. Okay. steering knuckle. Okay. Put the nuts in. Yes, 18. Okay. I don't know, I mean, it's not going to damage the ball joint, but I just don't want to put the entire weight there. So, I'm going to have it rest on the jack here. Don't move. Don't breathe. Okay. I'll show you what I'm doing here. Oh, great, and it's spinning. Okay, so now I need to do the same thing again with the support. I need to support it from underneath and push in the ball joint so it doesn't spin. Maybe I do need to press it down a bit. And by press, I mean hammer. Okay. Hopefully that's seated now, and I can spin the nut. Nope, still spinning freely. Oh, wait, what happened here? Oh, my jack is under the brake shield. That's not good, it's gonna bend the brake shield. Okay, now I've positioned it properly under the control arm itself. So I'm just hitting it lightly. Let's see. No, still spinning. Man, that's annoying. All right, it's in. What I had to do was I had to press on it with my hand here, just to push the whole thing down against the control arm. And then with the other hand, I had to hold it here and push it down very hard. And with the other hand, I was able to screw it in. The next step is going to be to attach the brake hose, connect it here. I'm going to be using E30 brake hoses, so that should be able to attach directly from here to here. Okay, the new brake line is in. I cleaned up the bracket a little bit with brake cleaner. Looks much better now, even though it's still, not new, but it looks a lot better. And, yep, it's attached. I need to bleed the brakes, obviously, after this whole thing. I need to fill them even, because this caliper is probably empty. Probably doesn't have any brake fluid in it. But this side is good to go in terms of the control arm and the whole brake assembly and the wheel bearing. All I need to do now is install the strut with the spring. On to the next side. Okay, the control arm is in on this side. That went a lot easier and faster than the first one, but that's pretty much always the case when you're doing something for the second time. Okay. Now comes the hard part. Or the part for which you need humongous muscles, which obviously I have, but yeah. Seriously, I'm falling in. You know what? I'm not gonna deal with this. I'm gonna undo the calipers from the assembly. A lot easier to maneuver now. And then I can really actually do what I was planning to do. To the spindle. Oops. There we go. Okay. This time it doesn't seem to be spinning freely, at least for now. Now it started spinning freely a little bit, but it's still okay. I don't want want to jinx it, but this side is going a lot quicker and easier than the other side. Align it properly so the bolt goes in. There we go. Yeah. Okay. That did it. So now we have an E30 with M3 brakes, or Z3M brakes, same thing. There we go, sweet. Now I gotta wait for the other part to arrive, this little rivet, not rivet, but whatever it's called, spacer thingy. And then we'll continue. Okay, finally, it's assembly time. I found the stupid little spacers that I needed from another set of Z3M shocks and springs that I had lying around. So I don't have to wait for the dealer to get those in. I can finally start assembling everything. I think I finally have all the little bolts and nuts and screws and stupid things, spacers. So let's see if I do. These are the bottom spring pads, which I'm reusing. They're in very good shape. Let me clean this up a little bit, make sure there's no dirt in here. Yeah, no dirt, no dust. Okay, so this goes like this. Then the spring, the wider part goes to the bottom. Like that. And then we have the spacer. Then I need this whole box of parts here. There's the strut mount. But under that there are a few parts which I'm going to find in just a second. There's, oh wait, I forgot, there's the dust boot and the bump stop. I need to install those. Paid crazy money for those from BMW. There. To check the orientation, it's supposed to go this way, it seems. Wait, why would it be this way? That makes no sense, it should be this way. Well, it's a good thing I have another assembled set there from a Z3M, just to compare the orientation and size and alignment and stuff like that. I think this goes like this, looks like. Okay, hold on. Let me take the spring off, it's in the way. So this goes like this. Does it go any further down? Is it supposed to go further down? Looks like it's not. Am I supposed to stretch it in and drive it down? Okay, maybe I am. So we are good to go. Okay, and then we have the little spacer, which goes here after I push this in a bit, so that it's hitting the metal and not the bump stop enough. Okay, so okay, now we need to align the bottom pad to its proper position, and then put the spring such that it aligns with that as well. Okay, there. That's how it's supposed to sit. And then we can put this here. Oh, I need the top spring pad thingy. So install that here. Oh, what? That's a different size. It's a different size because I used a E30 spring pad, I think. Let me check the sizes. So this is a Z3M top spring plate, and this is a E30 E30 brand new top spring plate. They do have different diameters. Alright, well, it's confirmed. If you want to use Z3M springs, you need Z3M top plates. This is the original E30, my old rusty E30 spring plate, and it's obvious that the size is different, doesn't fit. Maybe when I was test fitting it, maybe I was using the other side, which is larger, and it happens to fit here. But this is actually the bottom side, which goes toward the strut. Okay, this is ready to go into the car. Nope, need to slide it in from the other side. Bottom first, align it here, then slide up. Okay, maybe something like this. But it's longer. I don't know if that's gonna fit, guys. There. Top screws are in. But yeah, that is too tall. What? Is it possible the internet was wrong about what components you can use on an E30? Did I install the springs incorrectly or something? This doesn't make any sense. Why is the strut so tall? All the instructions say use E36 M3 springs. I figured I'd use Z3M springs because they're shorter, presumably. And I even used Z3M Coupe springs, which are slightly even shorter than the M Roadster ones, thinking that this would give me a lower stance. And they're stiffer too, so it's good for performance. But it's looking like I can't even fit them in here. Well, I checked everything online in terms of how to do the 5-lug swap on an E30 using Z3M or E36M3 components, and there is one thing I got wrong, and that is the control arm bushings. I'm supposed to use the offset type, which are for the 96 plus E36 M3s, and I have the centered ones. That's gonna offset the control arm a little bit forward here, and it's gonna possibly allow the strut to get in place. I don't think that's gonna give me enough room, but I guess I need to try it because I don't see any other option. So here's another blockage for this project. Now I need to source the correct bushings, to find somebody to press them in, press the old ones out first. And looks like, yeah, it's gonna be a pain. Okay, well, this is the 11th time that I've tried this assembly of the front suspension. And the previous time it didn't work because I had a centered control arm bushing, lower control arm bushing. Now I have an offset one. And that's what the instructions online say you should have if you want to use E36/Z3 suspension. So let's see if it works this time. Okay, now it's really the moment of truth. Will it fit? It's looking much better than last time. Yeah. Looks like it will fit. Let's see. Just to be sure. Well, it's a tight fit, but I think it's gonna get in there. Okay. I got the upper thingy in there. It goes through a bolt. Where are my bolts now? Ah, should have prepared for this. Where are my bolts? Okay, did I put them back in? Maybe I did put them back in. Yeah, okay, so this is the bolt that goes through here. I don't know if it matters which side it goes on. This is the top bolt. It attaches the strut to the spindle. Yeah. And then we got the bottom strut bolts. There's two of them. Two of them on each side, so I have a total of 4. Let's see if they'll go in. Yeah, this one's lined up. This one's lined up nicely. Okay, let's see the other. Yeah, the other one's going in as well. And mind you, the control arm is dropped a little bit just by 1 centimeter or so because I haven't tightened it from the top. Maybe if I had lifted it up all the way, it wouldn't have fit very easily. But it looks like overall the suspension geometry is correct and everything is fitting. So far so good. I just need to tighten everything and we should be good to go. And of course it's not a 17, it's an 18 for the bottom bolts, which who uses 18? And I need correctly, there's a nut that goes on the other side. Okay, yeah, good thing I checked. That is the correct part number for the nut, but there's also a washer, which I figured there must be one there. So, yeah, we need to put that in. Here's the nut. Got, again, everything brand new from BMW. Costs a fortune, but I want to make sure I have the exact same sizes and materials and locking threads and all that crap to make the car as it would have come out of the factory if BMW had ever made an E30 with this setup and with this engine, with the S54 engine. That's my goal of the whole project. So let's tighten this guy up. Oops. Okay, I checked the torque specs, torqued all the bolts. That's not interesting, so I did it off camera. Now we need to put back the brake caliper, the brake pads and everything. And this side will be mostly done. I'll clean up the discs and everything afterwards with some brake cleaner. But for now, just want to get everything assembled and make sure that everything fits fine, which so far it seems to be the case. I'm just going to tighten it decently well and then torque it finally at the end. Brake line, and I think we're done. Maybe, yep. And then a 10 or 11 on top. Yes, that's an 11. Okay, so I remember correctly. Doesn't need too much tightening. And in fact, too much tightening will damage the nut on the top, so this should be good enough. Okay, I think this side is good to go. I can even install a wheel. If there's any rubbing or anything just while it's on the strut itself. Yeah, it looks like there's enough clearance here with the strut. And again, this is a larger tire size than what I'm planning to use. And a larger wheel size as well, obviously. I want to use 16s on the E30. But this looks doable, and it's clearing the brakes, barely. Wow. It's going to be tough to have 16-inch wheels clear the brakes because this is really tight. And on to the other side. Copy paste. Okay, well, the other side is ready as well. Went a little smoother than the first one, obviously, as it does when you're doing something the second time. I'm gonna put on the Z3 wheels and then lower the car and see how far it reaches and whether these springs are really okay for this car. Guys, this is the moment of truth. I'm gonna be lowering the car and checking whether this suspension that I put in actually works, whether it's too tall or too short. I have no idea what's going to come out, but we'll find out very shortly. That's looking way too tall. Way too tall, but we'll see how it goes when I drop the rear, but wow, way too tall, yeah. It's not as bad as it seems initially. Might be okay actually. Might just be okay. Because I'm going to replace the engine with a heavier engine. So it's going to drop slightly because of that. Might be fine. And when the suspension settles, it might go even lower. So this looks sort of okay. Maybe it'll work out. But I did notice that it bottoms out very easily. So if I press it like this, no, it doesn't bottom out here. It bottomed out on the other side a little bit. Yeah, it's not bottoming out, but maybe the dust boot on the other side was hitting something. Okay, well, I'll need to deal with that issue, but in terms of ride height, I think we're okay. Actually, it's just a tad higher than I would want, but I think once I put the heavier engine in and the suspension settles a little bit, I think it'll be fine. It'll be just perfect. So maybe these springs are actually the right ones for this car. And the other thing is the wheel diameter, the tire diameter is going to be different with the 16s and with the proper diameter for the E30, because this diameter is for an E36. So that's going to open up the wheel gap a little bit. And so yeah, when that happens, that'll give me a little more of a gap. But again, with the suspension settling and with the heavier engine being put in, it might actually sit just the right way. So far so good.